to Chamber TV. My name is Dan White. I'm the CEO of the West Nova Chamber and the producer of this show. Excited to be here in Bear River with John Welch. So, yes, as said, I'm Dan and you are?
John Welch.
What does John Welch do?
I roast coffee with Sissiboo Coffee.
Yeah. So, you're local to the neighborhood?
Local in that way, I have family that's lived here for 9 generations.
Wow, that's pretty local.
Yeah.
So,
I wasn't raised here. I was raised in Cape Breton. My dad's from Westport.
Okay, so you're native Nova Scotian.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And you're married?
Married, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful woman.
Yeah. And kids?
2 kids, 2 13-year-olds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you've got this coffee roaster. How did that ever happen?
Well, like I said, I was raised in Cape Breton, but I went out west for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're told to do when you're a young man, go west.
Yeah.
So I went out there and I did a lot of work for a number of years in forestry, and those contracts, you chase them all over from Vancouver Island up to Messiah Junction and beyond, up to Stewart,
Right.
almost up to Alaska some years.
Yeah.
And you're staying in camps quite often, but you're staying in hotels. You're on the day off, though, you're always finding the best coffee shop.
Right.
And out there was this great developed culture for roasted coffee.
Mm.
And so quite often on my days off, I found myself at a small little local roaster talking with the owner and
Right.
just thinking it might be a good thing to maybe get into if I ever decided to get out of the forestry game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, good. And so, what brought you to this particular location?
It's beautiful here.
Well, that's Bear River, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is at the tidal city of the tidal town, or what's it
Yeah,
called?
we call it River City too.
River City. Okay.
It's got a few titles.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then this building, you bought this building?
Well, I was watching the real estate on the West Coast, and I just could never afford to buy into it. Or it didn't feel realistic to buy into it, being what I knew. Like I had to meet certain criteria. I needed to be close to wilderness. I needed to be close to the ocean. I wanted the community of creators, basically, like
Mhm.
artists and musicians and stuff around.
Yeah.
So that's
You're explaining this building and setting up here in Nova Scotia. So
Well,
you saw the building in real estate.
yeah, I saw it. I let it sit on the market for a year, and then I put in an offer when I was out west, and they accepted it. So I didn't really have the idea for the roaster at the time. I just kind of felt like this might be a big enough anchor to throw out to hold me here.
Mhm.
So I'd already bought a house here in 2000. We bought this building in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and I just figured. Well, I was still talking about coffee roasting, and I wasn't sure what to do with the building. And then a friend of mine suggested that maybe I should quit talking about it and actually do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really
And
cool.
that's where that kind of was the impetus that gave me that extra shove that I needed to
Right.
really start examining it.
Yeah. So how did it happen that you had a cafe?
Well, that came out of doing farmer markets locally,
Yeah.
and just on Saturdays mostly. We had one here in town that was short-lived, but the one in Annapolis Royal, I do that every Saturday, and the locals were bugging me, wishing that they could get us all week long.
Right.
So a friend of ours had a shop in town. He was a photographer, but he was looking for a co-tenant, and we agreed to split the rent, and we moved in and set up shop with. We built the whole thing in 2 days, pretty much on site,
Wow.
and opened up and for the locals to come and have a place to gather.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
Now there's a problem. It came up for me this morning. I was supposed to have a meeting at the Sissiboo Coffee Roaster Cafe,
Mhm.
but they meant Annapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, you gotta kinda be
we were
careful,
chatting
yeah.
on the phone.
Is that what
about
happened?
where are you right now? And we're going to 2 different locations.
Yeah, that happened last week. I had a coffee importer come down to visit, and I said, Bear River, make sure it's Bear River. And so she phones up and she's like, yeah, I'm 5 minutes away. I just drove by the Irving. And I was like, in Lake Heel? Yep, I'm 5 minutes away. I'm like, you're going to Annapolis, you gotta come to Bear River. So,
Yeah.
so we built the one in Annapolis first, but
Oh,
and then about 2 years later we built the one here in Bear River.
Okay.
The original model for the business was for just to be a wholesaler.
Right.
That was the original model, and just running cafes, restaurants, whoever, grocery stores would carry us. And but it just felt like there was a need there.
Well, there is, I know, because I've had a number of meetings, and it's just so convenient to go to the Sissiboo Coffee Roaster. It's really convenient.
Yeah.
It's handy. And
It's there to bring community together, right? And that's the reason we run it all year long. It's not just a tourist trap,
right,
or another roadside attraction for tourists.
Well, see,
it's there for the community.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because that's what the feedback I'm getting is there's not enough community dealing with community, and they're shopping elsewhere and buying elsewhere, and they're not looking at shopping local. That was a big conversation earlier this morning. So it's really cool, and they have art in there from local artists as well.
Yeah, we rotate the art every 6 weeks, first here, and then it moves to Annapolis for another 6 weeks, so artists get exposure for 12 weeks. And right now we've got Ray Mackey is doing a show of mugs, plates, and bowls, I think, and it's been very successful so far.
Yeah, and I've noticed you do quite a bit of social media marketing of the arts and stuff too. Yeah,
it's really important to promote that in our area. It's quite often I find there's different places that I really like, but they're always talking about their product.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, you got a great product, but what's going on outside that?
That's right.
And it's like, if we can turn away from ourselves and look at your community and see what's going on in the community and promote that. So I think that reverberates better with people.
Yeah, I think you're really onto something, and like it's interesting because Nova Scotia is really unique within Canada, and it's very much a tourist attraction, underrated, underpromoted.
100%. Yeah, and so, that's good and bad. I don't know what's better. It's
it's a double-edged sword. It really is.
Yeah, it's kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah,
and those that find it really appreciate it. Like people that come to Bear River, if they've just gotten off the beaten trail just for a change of scenery, they come to town, they're like, what is this place?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is. Yeah, it is. And we're working on that with This Is the Gem, and it really is the closest and best access to Kenji Park, which is a phenomenal area. Yeah, somewhat unique even.
Yeah, it's good. Like we're kind of well positioned between the ocean and the forest behind us. Like we have one of the largest wilderness areas in eastern North America, I think, right behind us. Yeah, with the Tobiatic and the Keji.
Right.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And I think that's a tidal river that goes through, is it not?
Here in town it is. Yeah. Actually, the tide comes up within like a couple of foot of out back here. So
that's pretty cool.
We have like a 12-foot tide difference just like outside the back door here.
That makes it really interesting. And there's another thing that's interesting. I understand the river divides Annapolis and Digby.
Yeah, fortunately and unfortunately, that's another one of those weird political things where we're divided between Digby County and Annapolis County by the bridge. The community itself isn't incorporated, has never incorporated, so when you're trying to get anything done here in the community, you have to go to both municipal levels, both municipal groups to ask for any sort of help. Fund projects and stuff. Not just the province and the feds.
Yeah. So what I want to know more about the coffee business. You do your own roasting here.
Yeah, we roast downstairs. I started on a tiny little roaster, and when I got into it, it was kind of like joining a secret society. There wasn't a lot of people really talking about how to do it. I'd phone roasters, and they're like, "Yeah, we're really busy. Like, I don't have time to talk to you about this." And so I scoured the internet. I'd find a sentence here and there, an image. Kind of created this template on my wall, printed it all out, put it on the wall, and then just started roasting for one winter, for about 6 months, and just started to teach myself. And a year later, I did a course in Toronto, with just a 2-day crash course, and I realized I had a couple questions. I thought I was doing things wrong, but I wasn't doing things so much wrong. It's like that's just the nature of roasting in that particular style. So,
well, I think the one thing I learned this from you about the difference in the different coffee beans and where they come from. Thanks to you, I can drink a little bit of coffee again, because I've got a sensitive stomach. And you explained that the Honduran coffee was lower in acid.
Yeah, it really depends. Like we only do single origin. We do 6 single origins. We don't do any blending. We're kind of considering that for a couple of different ideas that we have coming down the pipe. But for now, it's all about pulling out the terra of the bean. It's kind of like wine growing or something like that. Where it's growing, whether it's the sun, the wind, the soil, or whatever, it really changes the flavor of the bean, the elevation.
It really does, and I've noticed that. And as a matter of fact, the only coffee I drink now is yours.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like it's different to the flavor. It's milder. And it's smells fantastic when it's brewing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I love
yeah.
that
So
job.
so how did you find out about which countries had the best coffee beans? How did you?
Well, I'm strictly fair trade organic.
Okay.
I'm certified fair trade. I'm not certified organic, but we only use organic beans.
Right.
So it kind of really narrowed down
Yeah.
the selection that I can pull from in the early
Right.
days, and I knew I'd get really well graded beans that way too, because you're diving into a real specialty niche doing that. So.
Yeah, that's good because there really is a need for today's market. People want to know where the stuff's coming from, the qualities. Yeah, that's really cool. And so I understand that you distribute as well to retailers.
Yeah, we have distribution across Nova Scotia, a little bit into into New Brunswick and PEI as well. So, and a few spots in Ontario, and we have been in Alberta, a couple of different spots, but shipping's always a challenge.
Yeah, especially with the cost of fuel, it's really changed everything.
Yeah, so we deliver quite a bit of our beans ourselves with our delivery van.
Right.
We have regular runs to Yarmouth, Halifax, and the South Shore right now. So,
Yeah, that's
and the
really
rest of the Nova Scotia will ship.
Yeah. So from your perspective, what should our viewers know about drinking your coffee?
Well, that's a great question. Just that I guess it's locally roasted. It's very fresh.
Yeah.
So we date stamp for freshness, so it's not something hopefully that's been sitting on a shelf for a year or whatever. So we try and get out fresh as we possibly can. We only small batch roast, usually just for demand. So I roast on Mondays, but I kind of anticipate what our wholesalers and cafes are going to need for that week, and usually I'm within a few bags.
Cool. So what should a customer ask you about what kind of coffee they should buy from your selection?
It's interesting how a lot of people, when they first came to me, they were like, I only drink like the really oily black beans and I just love that. And then I'm like, well, try this. And it's amazing how when people start tasting more of the origin, how much they appreciate that. Because the darker the roast, the more you're just tasting the roast profile that you're putting on it. You're not tasting the origin
That's
so much.
really interesting.
But finding that balance, right, between tasting the origin and whatever roast profile you want to apply to it, to nurture out whatever is the best elements of those beans.
So what I'm hearing from you, you need to try a number of them. And just find out based on your personal taste.
Because what you think you may have liked historically might not be actually what resonates best with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's really quite interesting. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Well, first of all, how do people get in touch with you?
There's a lot of ways to get in touch. Thanks to social media.
Yes.
Yeah. You can call us. Our numbers, we have a couple Facebook pages. We're pretty active on social media.
You have a website?
We have a website.
Yeah, so it's not hard to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Google search Sissiboo Coffee and you'll find us.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully.
So anything else you'd like to share with the viewers?
I think I'd just like to reiterate how important it is to support local economy, local small business.
Right.
Yeah, it's really important. And not just because we're there, support because there's a lot of great quality products being created locally if you look for it.
That's fantastic. So viewers, if you love coffee, you need to check out the Sissiboo Coffee Roaster. Phenomenal coffee, phenomenal choice, wonderful people, local. And thank you for viewing, and John, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise, yeah. Thank you.